So I guess this is the first podcast that we are doing. I don't know about you guys, but for me
I'm
it
a
is.
veteran. Please, I do one every day.
Well, I'm good that we are all on the same page here. So, first of all, thank you so much for coming and for being on the podcast. My name is Vasco. I am the CMO at Aurum Solutions. With me today, I have Rebeka, which it feels weird to say
Yeah.
Rebeka.
Stick to Becky.
Yeah, that's to Becky. So, Becky is one of the iGaming Academy's first hires, so 6 years ago, and
That's my
has
age.
and has since been a major contributor to the commercial growth across the US, Canada, and Europe. Recently promoted to commercial director, she plays an integral part on creating the commercial and strategic plan for the business. Becky is extremely passionate about business growth and tackles new challenges with enthusiasm, and she now has experience working with hundreds of companies to build the right training solutions which match their unique business requirements. Great bio.
I'm not sure who wrote it in the company, but I like it.
Welcome, Becky. On the other side, we have Tiago. Tiago is the CEO at Aurum Solutions. He is responsible for providing the world's leading automated reconciliation software to the iGaming industry. And over the past 5 years, he has played an instrumental role in revolutionizing financial operations and compliance in this sector. Tiago has pushed the Aurum software worldwide, attracting a global gaming audience and working with some of the industry biggest players and most promising startups. He has implemented his fundamental knowledge of financial regulations, operations, and best practices to help streamline finance teams and automate processes, saving them money and hundreds of hours of manual work.
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to live to the expectation.
Or set really high.
Yeah. Welcome,
For
Tiago.
both of us. Or then we're just going to be like, interesting
Okay,
points.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, on this podcast, we are going to discuss finance operations at scale. We know that gambling companies are growing every day, and at the pace of this industry, that everything changes and moves. They grow really fast, and that's noticeable. And transactions increase, complexity increase, and we are here with them to discuss how can these teams be prepared for those moments. How can the operations be in place to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that scaling won't make the business go backwards. So my first question for you two are, based on your experience, what would you say are the challenges that these finance teams can expect when companies start growing and scaling?
I think from my point of view, the challenges that gaming finance teams are facing can be quite complex. You see, we've been working in this industry for a long time. So many operators we've seen grow, scale, including one of our guests today, Miguel. This is the second time we're working with him, and so far, as companies start to grow, CEOs really push for growth. I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. Out of new markets, tracking down new clients, revenue, and sometimes we forget that processes need to be in place, and systems need to be in place to help people out. It's just in the end of the day, it all ends up in finance. Finance is like the backbone of a company, and it's the thing that we sometimes forget. If you think it through, you start exploring new geographies, and you'll go with like increase volumes of payments massively in different payment methods, different geographies, each geography with their own regulations, with their own compliance, with their own ways of reporting different profit. In finance, then you have lovely thing called taxes, which you can't escape, and that will be complex as well, different tax. Even in some countries, imagine in America, each state has its own complex and totally different tax structure, and we just forget to give them the systems to be able to work there. So I think that's in my opinion the biggest problem that we see, particularly in the gaming industry. High risk brings so much more challenges than normal growth. It's not like selling Tommy Hilfiger t-shirts over the internet.
That's true.
Tiago, that was endorsement of Tommy Hilfiger.
For those who doesn't know, Tiago is the biggest fan of Tommy Hilfiger. I think 90% of his wardrobe is Tommy Hilfiger.
Yeah,
So here we are.
yeah. You almost scared everyone off from entering new markets, Tiago, almost, but I think they can still go ahead. I think Tiago's right. That everything he mentioned are things that they need companies need to keep in mind when they're scaling up as well. From my perspective, what we see from iGaming Academy's perspective, we work with a lot of obviously HR teams, compliance as well, beyond finance. And when with such high turnover, you have issues with onboarding, training staff, turnover, people leaving, people joining. How can you, or if you're just scaling up, change management as well, right? You see companies hiring hundreds of people in such a short period of time. How do you go from a small company mentality to a big company mentality, from a startup to a fully fledged business? So it's interesting to see how different companies manage that. I think a lot are picking up on that and learning to build more of a structure, but it's definitely something that every company will face at some point.
Yeah. Do you think these teams from the operators are ready for scalability and for high growth?
No, I don't want to be as negative as Tiago, but I mean, I think it's really down to the structure of the company. Some have the backbone in place, they're more established. Again, if you're going from a startup, we see so many new companies kind of popping up. You're probably not, and you learn as you go. So I think it does depend, but most companies are not ready for that until they get there, and then they're like, oh, hang on a sec, like we weren't ready for this.
What do you think are the consequences of not being ready for this scalability and hyper growth?
Well, if you're entering new markets and you're scaling up that quickly and you're not prepared, you don't have the foundation in place, then it might go wrong. You might not be able to achieve what you wanted to achieve. You put a lot of investment into your market, you put a lot of research, but then if you don't have the training, the necessary tools, the knowledge on that market or what you need to do, then it's not going to go well.
It can even make the company go backwards.
Exactly. We see so many businesses that scale up at such a fast pace, hiring hundreds of people, jumping into a new market or going into a new venture, and then the common redundancies we're seeing at the moment. Companies closing, not being able to sustain the business, letting hundreds of people go that they would have hired in tech as well, especially. I think we can very clearly see the consequences of what's happening, or even fines from regulators as well, right? Coming fines we're seeing in new markets or established markets. I'm sure Tiago can mention more about from a finance perspective, but this is everything that we see,
I think it just grows that growth becomes at a much higher cost as well. There's just the risk becomes much higher. You start with remember that finance again as the backbone of a business, then has direct impact on everything else. If you think it through, if the CFO doesn't know how much money they have across the company, he can't really plan, for the growth, and the growth is happening in so many different areas. In the end of the day, you spread out so thin that it's difficult. So, I mean, growth is three very, very important things, people, processes, technology, the three need to be aligned. And it's very easy, it's hard to recruit, but you think it through, it's easy to hire a lot of people, but then you forget if you don't have the right processes in place. And also, I think one of the key things is know-how, hire people who've done it before. That has massive help, That's one of the things that we've been very, very careful at Aurum Solutions, make sure we have people with experience or scale up people, using great training companies to help you out, to help skill up your staff.
Yeah, I do think that, and I'm hearing that. I was speaking with a company the other day at SBC, because that was yesterday. By the way, my voice is like this also because the decision to do it after the discussion after the conference should not be done again next time we do it before, because at least I have a bit of a voice now. But this morning I was like, oh my goodness.
It almost looked like our first conference, like we don't know the consequences of the conference.
Yes, so I was speaking with one of the companies yesterday, and they were saying, they're the head of payments and strategy, and he was saying it's so tough to find good people with experience in their field from the industry as well.
Exactly.
And that's what we see in every position. Let's talk about the US as well, the US especially, right? Like you have massive corporations who are opening up their betting and gaming arms or something along those lines. They're hiring all their C-levels. I'm sure they're fantastic at what they do, but they don't have any industry experience. You see, then that contributes to more turnover than the company not doing as well, because you have people who are not so knowledgeable in that, that's the area that training can really help in, to at least help you to kind of get up to speed and learn the industry a little bit quicker, so you can apply the knowledge you have for that role of how to build a company, how to grow, how to scale for the industry. It's so different to any other industry out there, right? So I think that's something, because you mentioned hiring people it is easy, but finding the right talent for the right position with the right experience, oh my goodness, the amount of companies I hear saying that it's what they struggle with. I mean, our sister company is Pantasia, so they work in recruitment as well. So they're recruiters for the industry. So they mentioned this as well. Like that's the number one struggle that companies have, finding talent with the right level of experience.
Which eventually leads to the market to increase salaries in a stupid way, and that's you see a lot of even American companies coming to the Europe to recruit people here that already did it and offering very high salaries to do it, and then it's everyone wants a piece of that, and it offers more and more money.
Yeah. And then that in turn lends towards what we were saying, right? Companies having to let go because they scale up in a way that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think they can do to be ready? Like, what do you suggest them to do in order to prepare for these moments and for these challenges?
Do you want to go? I spoke a lot.
I guess one of the things that we mentioned, we just been in a conference, like that's key, you know, talking to people who've seen it before, attend interesting panels. It's a special industry, but there's, you know, online gambling has been online legal in the UK for the past 20 years. You know, in some other countries, we're talking about 18 months. So there's people who've been doing it for a long time, and that they know how to scale. They've been successful before, and above all, they know the right processes in place, the right technology to have. And that has a big impact. So I'll say number one thing is try to get that know-how. There's a number of ways to do it. Second thing is try to learn from other people's mistakes. You know, like rather than learning from your mistakes, that makes a big difference. Hence why conferences are a great place. Meet people, talk, understand things.
Share ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Share ideas, share know-how. I mean, listen to this podcast as well. It can be a very good idea as well.
And having the right tools, basically, with the knowledge and making sure that you have what you need to do your job well, and to automate and to streamline your processes along the way.
Exactly. I mean, we've been doing this. We've been doing what we do for a long time. You know, like the past 6 years, we've expanded, dedicated ourselves to in the gaming industry, and companies like Aurum Solutions bring not just technology. We bring know-how, best practice. Yeah. We've seen it before, and that makes a big difference. You know, rather than that's what I said. Learn from other people's mistakes. Learn from other people's success as well, and what it can do for you. So then you can adapt. I mean, you mentioned in the American market. I think that's a perfect example. A couple of weeks ago, we're all in New York attending a conference, and
another conference.
Yeah, speaking the panel there with some very interesting C-level people from big gaming groups that they have a lot of experience in land-based. Online is a totally different business, and I think after that panel, I had some very good conversations with people. Like, tell me more. What do you mean by this? Things like, what do you mean when you say that an online gaming company sometimes is more similar to a bank than it is to a physical casino in terms of the complexities for a finance department in particular? What does that really mean? And having then those conversations makes people understand.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think operators can focus on what they do well, which is entertaining players and providing them with games and making sure they have a good time and that they stay on their platforms, and that should be their main focus, because ultimately if they
to the business.
Exactly, and ultimately if you focus on what brings revenue and everything else you dedicate to companies, that's what they focus on making it good. Not only you know that you have people that are experts on their fields, but also you are taking advantage of the knowledge knowledge that those people acquired from working with a lot of companies like yours, helping you to make your processes way easier, ultimately.
I think some companies, I think we're seeing a shift now for sure, but I think a lot of companies, both, I think you guys can speak to that and I can speak that from iGaming Academy, is that they want to try to do things internally, maybe to save on costs, maybe because they think they can do it better. But then you end up doing things in a manual way. You end up taking focus, like Vasco, you're saying, like from the core business. So you're taking your focus away from what's actually taking the business forward and spending time doing the mundane tasks that experts such as yourselves or us, either in reconciliation or training, can help with. And we can really like become an extension to that business and then take them forward and let them focus on what they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, this conversation wouldn't be fair if we were just discussing from our side. So obviously we need to bring the other side, which is the operator side. And for that, we have Miguel with us. So Miguel's financial experience of over 20 years has spanned various sectors from manufacturing to leisure and tourism. Currently, his efforts are focused on online gaming as head of accounting at iGaming Group. With expertise in economic development plus new technologies and marketing, Miguel brings a holistic approach to the financial activities he oversees, while ensuring fine details are met and relationships sustained. Along with managing large budgets, pressurized teams, and highly sensitive data, Miguel therefore also ensures that finance functions play a significant role in steering business strategies. Welcome, Miguel, to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Vasco. Thank you.
So from your side as an operator, what do you think are the biggest challenges that you face as you grow?
Well, you've been talking about several items that I have highlighted when I was thinking about our main pains in finance. So the first one that we are, and it's clear right now, and we are struggling a lot, is with the payment processing. In any side, just to give you a baseline, we have more than 200 PSPs in our group integrated with us, onboarded with us, and this is to attract, as we said, a large base of players. So handling with payment transactions becomes more challenging every day. Reconcile those transactions, putting them correctly on our accounting system. Dealing with multiple payment methods, with different type of reports. You have PSPs that the report is pristine, that you can just put it on the accounting, and you have others that you need to work tirelessly to get information that they are providing to you. Also ensuring secure transactions. We have PSPs that they have very robust compliance systems and accurate systems, while you have others that is not that robust, the platform and everything that they have. So really, the PSPs and the payment processing to us right now is the real challenge when it comes to finance. The reconciliation processes that we are dealing with are getting more complex each day. There are new systems, new platforms, new ways to do the reconciliation. So for us, automation right now is the only way to achieve a real, integration of our payment processing, our PSPs, with our accounting systems. Then, iGaming Group was a company that grew in a very short time. So scalability and reporting was one of the problems that we are facing, really, and truly. Scaling up financial systems, reporting processes, reconciliation processes, data analysis. Our department in finance struggles several times with consolidating the financial information from several different sources. We have, as I said, very good sources at some point, but we have others that are really, really very bad, and we need to consolidate them all to get accurately and timely reports. Also, at the end, our accounting system and all the information that we need to back it up did not grow at the same speed as the operation. So we have operation that is largely developed, but the back office systems, meaning finance in this regard, are not developed or were not developed at the same speed. So this is another issue that we are tackling in the company.
So basically everything we just said.
Yeah,
We're on the same page.
we're all on the same
That's
page.
great.
That's great.
That's fantastic. I was like, imagine Miguel sees something completely different to what we said. It's like everything we just said was rubbish. So it's good.
It's completely, and on top of that, then there is two items that I would like to also to touch base. First is taxation and international operations. So we are a company that operates in multiple jurisdictions all across the world. It's a 24/7 operation, as you may know. It's iGaming. It meant to be like that. So this brings a lot of tax complexities. So you need to be very much in compliance with a lot of different regulators, dealing with different taxing systems. So you need to provide the information really accurate. You need to be top of knock in this regards, but also dealing with currencies. We have, I don't know how many currencies, maybe 20, 30, you name it, you know. But then there was the crypto, which if the system was complex, when you introduce the crypto, then the system gets more complicated, you know. So yeah, I mean, this is another challenge and another issue that we are having as a pain. But finally, and this surprised me, but when you commented, is the talent acquisition and training. We are really struggling to find and retain skilled finance professionals, familiar with the gaming, with regulators, with the regulated sectors, you know, like our industries, such as the gaming, and especially to us. Our company is based in Malta, and we need to attract talent by importing them, you know. So my case, for instance, I am based in Madrid, and I go regularly to Malta, but it was the only option for me. But we have a lot of people that is coming from abroad, and to retain them and to have them on the company, you know, and to find them first and foremost is a really, really challenging situation.
Yeah.
I think a quick thing for you back, Miguel, is, but I mean, you like me work in other industries as well, not just gaming. And do you think that in gaming in general, there's actually a real understanding of how important finance is when compared? I mean, especially like gaming companies are holding client money, you know, safeguarding regulations. I think through like the FCA is so tough on any fintech that pops up, you know, they're so hard. Look at Revolut. They haven't even got their banking license still, you know, and it's been on for so many years in the UK. So therefore they understand how important it is. Like they are so strict. They scale even as you said, the know-how of the finance people. Do you think that like some CEOs of gaming companies, high level, big investors, they understand the importance of finance and accounting and having the right processes in place and good finance system, good ERPs, automated reconciliation solutions? Do you think that's like they understand it as well as other industries like the ones we both worked on?
Let me put it that way. My experience is more based in startups or really growing on scaling up companies. Okay. So the first thing that a CEO of that company has on top of his head is operation. So this is the first thing. You need to go outside. You need to get the most number of players, operation, and then goes the rest. So once the operation is settled, once the operation is established, when you are running a good operation, of course you need a finance department to support all that operation. Then it comes, I need information. So you have two ways to get that information: internally wise with your platform, developing either reportings from the platform or creating, which is my preferable way, a BI system or a BI department that provides you that information. And then the financial information. Then is when you have the problem that your company has a gap, a breach between what is the operation, what is the finance, and you need to close that gap at the soonest. So then it is when it comes that they realize, okay, we need good financial systems, good policies, good procedures, and everything else. So I think that now they're realizing more and more the importance of the finance departments, but also to have coherent and robust tools that will help to get that information. Because at the end, what they need is information. Information is power, So they are realizing the importance of having a strong finance department.
That's really good. I mean, I had a very cool conversation yesterday with the CEO of a startup gaming company from one of the new regulated markets. They came to Malta to learn a little bit more, and it's the second time we met. And he said, "I'll have you know that because of a meeting we had in Barcelona last year in the conference, I've just hired the finance director." Because until then, I did not know I needed one, and and I was like, "Well, I'm glad, I'm glad I'm actually helping." But I feel like sometimes I'm this sort of conversion expert, this religious thing, like, you need to look at finance, please look at finance, treat it with the importance it deserves, because in the end of the day, it's the backbone of any company. Your numbers aren't right, then things are not gonna go well.
Okay, so we spoke about technology and about how hard it is to recruit. My question is, do you think technology can play an essential role in trying to prevent a lot of hires or facilitate the amount of people that a finance team needs?
This is a very good question. And there is always, this contradictory idea that technology will bring you less people, therefore cost saving. So for me, or in my opinion, a better finance operation is not necessarily defined to have less people in the department, but rather to have an efficient and effective team, first and foremost. I mean, that is why I said talented, skilled people is needed. So when you have that, then you need to balance out what you need in terms of team and in terms of technology. So having the right amount of people managing the right tools will give you a real efficiencies that you are looking when you are designing or defining the finance team. I am coming from industries and companies where we were using large amount of people because the process were so manual. You need to spend a lot of time doing them. But we are transitioning towards that other side when automation of processes, thanks to tools, brings you the opportunity to really shape the teams that you are working with. So my opinion is that you need to have skilled people to manage the tools at the end, because for me, the automation is just avoid manual processes. But at the end, what I want is people that are analysts, that knows how to analyze the information that we are providing. Because for me, finance is a business partner in each company. It's the department that will give a light of the numbers to the rest of the companies. I don't focus only on the CEO. Focus on this. On the CEO, also on the COO, on the CTO, or whoever. HR, So at the end, technology and automation for me play a crucial role optimizing the finance operations. So if you implement robust finance systems and leveraging automation tools and utilizing data analytics, can streamline all these processes just to enhance accuracy, just to improve efficiency, and potentially reducing the needs of large workforce. Okay. Ultimately, our goal is to have finance operation that is appropriately staffed, as I said, but equipped with modern tools and technologies. In my company, in my current company, I think we have skilled people, but the tools are not in the way that we want. So that is why we're implementing Aurum in this regards, just to optimize our reconciliation, but we're thinking furthermore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
that's
agree with that as well. I think I completely agree with what you said, Miguel. I don't think it's about technology replacing people. I think it's about leveraging the benefits of having both. So
And empowering people.
Yeah, like Miguel, you said, you take off the manual task. That gives people the space to then do what they do best and analyze that. How do you make this work for us? How can you capture that? But if you're bogged down with all the manual tasks, then you're just going to be doing that. You're just going to be looking at the data and not being and reconciling it, as it were, rather than actually, for lack of a better word, rather than actually looking into that and analyzing it and saying, how can we make this work for us? Because then all your time is taken up with that. It's such a heavy manual task. So I think maybe some companies used to be afraid of the unknown, let's say, of using technology. Like I guess maybe there's this notion or preconception that, oh my goodness, if I get this technology in, then it's going to remove all the jobs, or we don't know how it works, we don't have that much control. But now there were the early adopters. We had the success stories, like Tiago said. So now we should be seeing more of a shift towards more companies adopting this and embracing it and learning how to leverage this and make it work for their company, because at the end of the day, it's going to help them.
I think one little thing I want to say, Miguel, is that one thing I find in again, the more markets get regulated, speaking to new people, is I think some of the problem is people not knowing the problem. Like, as you said, you've been there before, so it's like you're like, how do you expect me to run this global operation 24/7? Payments coming left, right, and center. Like, what you want to know? What's my accurate cash position as of now? You can't know. Like, you can if you're reconciling the day on day all the payment methods. You are consolidated finance information. Go to your ERP, whatever it is, press a button and get a proper balance sheet, right? And the numbers add up. I think that, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's so different to a traditional gaming environment that people don't really understand the scale of the problem. And it's like when they face it, they're like, oh my God, what do I get from now? And the answer, as you said before, was heavy manual people. Like, I need 10 more people because I'm onboarding 5 new payment methods a month, and I'm trying new markets. So therefore, I need more people to solve this problem. And then it's a bit like when they find companies like Aurum Solutions or automation of other systems as well, not just in the finance department. It's like, oh my God, this is totally different. Like it just changes dramatically, and I guess that's why I encourage so much people to look for success stories and to try to understand this has been done before. I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to focus on what I'm good at, and that's, Vash, going back to your point earlier. What is a gaming company? Their business is entertainment. That is their business, is entertainment. Is watching a game with your friends and place a bet, or spending a good night out and spinning a roulette and make you happy. That is the business, and that's what people should be focusing on. They're in the entertainment business, not really on the tech business, and I guess that's what the difference is. Don't build your own stuff. Focus on what you're doing well, entertain people, because as we know, loyalty in players is not super high. So focus on player retention, create a great user experience, create a fantastic payment journey. People need to be able to have a sleek payment process, have a great user experience in gaming, and then just give the right tools to the right people so that they can help you do it.
Yeah. So to finalize the questions for you, Miguel, just another one. So what do you say are the priorities for your team for the rest of this year?
Well, right now we are focusing on 3 main areas. And I'm not going to put it from top down, just what we have on top of our head. So first thing is budgeting and forecasting. I mean, we are entering in the second half of the year. We would like to see the future. And actually, it's something that surprisingly, when I joined the company, is the exercise was not very well developed for this year. I mean, so we have a budget, of course, but I think it needs to be rethinked the way it was done, and engage all departments. At the end, I think it was made, top down by to see levels in the company. So we need to engage all the areas, because at the end we are a very large company. We have more than 40 different entities all across the different territories. So we need to understand every single piece of that and put it together. So this is the first one. The second one that I have, but this is just personally me, is to enhance our financial reporting and analysis. This is something that I am very keen to develop, not only from a platform perspective, from our back office perspective. I'm working very closely with the developing team in order to have new reports to see what is our actual operation and to provide information not only to support our accounting activities, but also to support our decision-making process. And finally, the last one is, as I said, close the gap. We have a big gap between finance and operations. And close the gap means to get a new ERP. For us, we are coming from an accounting system, which all the startups entities begins with, any accounting system that you can think on top of your head, but it's an accounting system. I will, or with my CFO, we would like to go another step forward, which is an ERP. An ERP is a finance system, but integrates the whole company. So anyone, HR, operations, anyone in the company should be a stakeholder of the project at the end. And this is what we have in this second half of the year as one of our main, I think is the P1 project that we have from now till the end of the year.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Miguel, thank you very much for coming in and giving your perspective from the operator side. It was extremely insightful, and it was good to know that what we were discussing is aligned to your vision as well. So yeah, thank you very much for coming, and I guess we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and looking forward to see you in the next event.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
bye-bye.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Well,
It's quite the wave.
yeah. Well, to finalize on our sides, I have just one question for the two remaining guests, which is, do you envision anything happening in the future that will change how finance teams operate in these companies?
I think I'll take that to start with.
Don't steal my answer. You know my answer. Don't steal it.
And now I'll start with one thing that Miguel mentioned earlier, which was, he said briefly, when you introduce crypto, then everything is going to explode. And that's one of the things he said that make it much more complex. And I guess with the obviously cryptocurrencies, it's a never-ending revolution. It's not going to go as fast as people thought initially. Some of the early adopters were like, "Oh, in 2 years, no one's going to be using money." Of course, it's not going to be like that, but it is changing. Just like banks are changing and converging to these emerging banks as well, and instant payments are becoming a thing, and open banking change everything as well. So I guess crypto is going to bring some challenges, and on top of that is obviously what's happening in AI. So we're lucky at Aurum. We're based in Reading, UK headquarters of Microsoft. So therefore, working, we have access to good internal releases, and I mean, I see some of the products that they are thinking about launching in terms of AI. May really help some of the struggles that they have, and I think it's going to be the jobs are going to change just as much as they changed when they started to introduce Industry 4.0 10 years ago and getting robots to do some of the tasks. And again, as Becky was saying before, it doesn't mean that people are going to go away. People are always going to be necessary, but it's what jobs are people doing, rather than trying to do the task, is understanding what is the impact that this is going to get. How can I make it better, rather than understand what do I have to do in the first place, is the why rather than the what. And I think that's a big shift, It seems quite simple and open, but I think it's a big shift. So those are, for me, are the two biggest challenges, because we already see them Aurum, and companies that work in more technology advanced markets. We already see crypto deposits. In operation, particularly in operators, you'll see crypto deposits increasing, etc., which wasn't a thing 3 years ago. Everybody was handling fiat, and that was the main concern. Now, is even have things like stable coins being on ERP reports, as Miguel was saying, being part of that. Part of the liquidity report, you have stable coins. So it has changed, and I think it will change more. We'll see where we are. Good thing is, like, for a technology company like Aurum, we also are on top of our game and always pushing for the next thing and trying to help more automation. How can we bring machine learning? What can AI do for us to help finance teams do better, do more with less?
Becky?
I like that, do more with less. Yeah, similar in a way, more less so on AI, but more technology, like we're talking about before between us and with Miguel as well. Probably, I mean, finance teams, but also wider companies are going to be adopting more technology. Technology is advancing at a scary rate. So they will probably onboard more of these, and we can see a shift like that. I can speak from my perspective, from the training, right? First, companies were looking for an LMS, just somewhere to put their training on the system. Then they're looking for a single sign-on to integrate to something else. Now they're looking for fully API integration. They're looking for gamification, looking for all of these things. So people are kind of saying, okay, well, now we have this, we want this because we think it could make it better. So companies they seem to be, at least, looking more towards technology and how they can leverage that. So I think the trend is going in the right direction for finance and beyond, right? You can speak from the finance perspective as well. You can see companies maybe before they were like, and now they're like, yeah, we really need this because it's taking us so long to do all this ourselves. So I think we are catching up to that, and I think that will just keep on being the trend. I think the key is that companies have to have a growth mindset and just be willing to take that next step and willing to, maybe take that leap of faith and see how it's going to work, rather than just kind of going back and forth and dropping priority and then going back to it later. Prioritize these things, because in the end, they are going to help you get your end result. That's, I think, the direction I see going in.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, guys, it was very insightful to be sharing with you. I hope on the other side, people also found it insightful. If you're still listening, thank you very much. It was our first podcast, and I think it went really well. And in terms of finance, if you're a finance professional, make sure you follow iGaming Academy and Aurum Solutions on LinkedIn. We will soon, later this year, be doing an event exclusively for finance and payments people, with content tailored to them and workshops and educational pieces that aim to empower them to do better their jobs and to feel more confident and choose the right tools to support themselves. So make sure you follow so you can get all the news.
The event is called Data and Payments, by the way.
Data and Payments.
We should
important.
Yeah. But you can look at all our news anyway. It's all interesting what we're publishing. But yeah, the actual event is called Data and Payments, or DIP, if you're cool.
Yeah. And it's just for finance professionals to learn more from their peers and from the people that provide these courses. So yeah, make sure you tune in and follow our social media for that. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye.